Someone hands you their phone. There's a video of you talking from last week, and they want you to hear something in it. You press play. For half a second, you think they've sent you the wrong clip. That voice, thinner, higher, slightly off, can't be yours. Do you know your voice? You've heard it every day of your life from the inside since before you could form a sentence. This isn't it. Except it is. It's the only version of your voice that anyone who has ever spoken to you has ever actually heard. Every teacher, every friend, every person who's ever said your name back to you, that thin, slightly off voice on the phone is the only one they know. The warm, familiar one in your head has never once reached another person's ears. You're the one person on earth who's never heard it before. Here's what's actually happening the moment you speak. Your voice leaves your mouth and splits into two separate roads. One road travels through the air, bounces around the room, and enters your ears the same way any other sound does. The same road your voice takes to reach everyone else. The second road never leaves your body at all. It travels straight through your skull, through bone, through tissue, and arrives at your inner ear almost instantly, still vibrating with the frequencies that only survive a trip through solid bone. Bone carries low frequencies far better than it carries high ones. So that second signal reaches you already deepened, already warmed. Like a bass boost nobody else in the room gets to hear. Every single time you've spoken, your brain has been quietly blending both signals together, the air version and the bone version, into one voice it calls you. A recording can only ever capture the first one. The moment you press play, you're hearing, for the first time, a version of yourself with half the signal missing. Put a hand flat against your throat and hum. Feel that buzz under your fingers, and that's the bone-conducted signal, physically moving through you right now, on its way to your inner ear, by a route no microphone will ever get to travel. No recording device on Earth has hands, or a throat, or a skull. It only ever gets the half that goes through the air. It isn't just that the recorded version is missing something. It's missing a specific something. Bone is efficient at carrying low, heavy vibrations, and comparatively bad at carrying the higher, thinner ones. So the version in your head is quietly filtered toward warmth, richer in the low end, softer at the edges. Strip that filter away, and what's left is sharper, higher, and thinner than anything you were ever prepared to hear come out of your own mouth. In 1966, two psychologists had a group of volunteers down in front of a tape recorder. Nothing dramatic, just a simple request. Talk for a minute, listen to the playback, describe what you hear. What Philip Holtzman and Clyde Rousey watched next surprised them. People didn't just find the sound unfamiliar. They flinched. They hesitated mid-sentence trying to describe it. Some laughed nervously, the way people laugh at something that unsettles them more than it amuses them. Several described the voice on the tape using words they would never have used to describe themselves. Weaker, stranger, worse. Holtzman and Rousey gave the reaction a name: voice confrontation. Not because a recording is inherently unpleasant, but because it forces a face-to-face meeting between the voice you've built your identity around and the one the rest of the world has been listening to the entire time. What's striking is how little it seems to matter whether the sentence was rehearsed or spontaneous, formal or casual. The reaction shows up in a job interview recording and in a voicemail left half asleep. The gap being confronted isn't about performance, it's about the sound itself, arriving without its usual filter. A follow-up study went further, and the number is almost hard to believe. When people were played a short recording of their own voice mixed in among strangers, only 38% could correctly identify it as their own. Not didn't like it, couldn't recognize it. Less than 4 in 10 people could pick their own voice out of a lineup. The same voice they'd been living inside for their entire life. Which raises an obvious question. If your recorded voice is so unfamiliar, so cringeworthy, so wrong, is it actually worse? In 2013, researchers ran an experiment built to answer exactly that. They played people a set of recorded voices, strangers mixed in with each listener's own, without telling anyone which was which. Rate each one, they said, nothing more. No context, no names, just a voice in a list of voices, judged on its own merits, the way you judge a stranger's. People consistently rated their own voice higher than everyone else rated it, not lower, higher. The problem was never the recording itself. Stripped of the label, "This is you," the voice sounded fine. Sometimes better than fine. The discomfort only shows up the instant you know you're the one listening. It isn't a quality problem. It's a matching problem. The sound doesn't fit the mental picture you've been carrying of yourself since childhood. And for one uncomfortable second, your brain has to decide which one is real. That's a strange kind of bias to catch yourself in. Most of the time, people are accused of judging themselves too harshly, not too kindly. Here, it's the opposite. The private, bone-conducted version of your voice has been quietly flattering you your entire life. And the recording is simply the first neutral judge to weigh in. Put the mechanism and the reaction next to each other, and something clicks into place. Bone conduction means every person alive has been hearing a private mix of their own voice that nobody else has ever had access to. Not friends, not family, not even people who've known them for decades. That private signal became the anchor for an entire piece of identity. This is what I sound like. A recording doesn't corrupt that signal. It's the first honest measurement of it. The deepened, bone-filtered version was never a more accurate you. It was simply the only version you were ever in a position to hear. Every person alive is walking around with this exact same blind spot. Not a metaphorical one, a literal, physical one, built into the architecture of the skull. You've never once heard yourself the way a single other person on the planet hears you. In real time, in conversation, ever. Not your parents, not your partner, not your own reflection in a mirror, mouthing the words back. Scientists have only recently found a way to even study this properly. Researchers in Geneva built headphones that pipe sound directly through bone, letting them play someone their own voice the way it's always sounded to them, instead of the way it sounds to everyone else. It's one of the last unexplored corners of self-awareness. Because for as long as humans have existed, nobody has ever had a way to fully step outside their own skull and check. Think about how much of your sense of self has quietly leaned on a signal only you have ever received. Not just your voice, the tone of it, the confidence in it, the version of sounding like yourself you've been calibrated to for as long as you've been able to speak. All of it built on half the data everyone else was working with. So here's the part that actually sits strangely once you think about it. Every person who has ever known you, the people who raised you, the person you love most, your closest friend of 20 years, has only ever heard the voice on the recording. The version you find unfamiliar is, to every single one of them, simply what you sound like. It's the only one they've got. Somewhere between the two versions is the truth. Not the warm one only you could hear, and not quite the thin one caught on tape either, but something closer to a translation between a private signal and a public one. You built a self around the private version. Everyone else built you out of the public one, which means the stranger in the recording was never a stranger at all. You were just the last person in the room to be introduced. Somewhere right now, someone is describing you to a friend who's never met you, imitating the way you laugh, the way you say a certain word. They're doing an impression of the voice on the recording. They have no other version to draw from. It's the only one that's ever existed as far as the rest of the world is concerned. The next time you hear yourself played back and flinch, it might be worth remembering what's actually happening in that second. You're not discovering a flaw. You're finally hearing what the room has been hearing all along.